All right. So, welcome to Poly Role Models. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Mandee Conant. I am the director of Atlanta Poly Weekend here in Atlanta. We are the Southeast's largest poly and ethically non-monogamous conference. And we are one of the only conferences in the U.S. that is family friendly.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, how long have you been polyamorous, or how long have you been practicing polyamory?
I discovered I was polyamorous probably 16, 17 years ago. I was married. I was in a monogamous marriage and fell in love with someone else. I fell in love with a woman and went to my husband at the time and told him and communicated my feelings. And he was very supportive. I was very lucky. He was very supportive and allowed me to to try some things out. I guess to see if I could nurture both relationships. And unfortunately and fortunately, things didn't work out for either relationship. But it gave me a completely new perspective on life. So
Awesome. Awesome. What does your relationship dynamic look like?
currently, I have two nesting partners. We all share a home with my two younger children. Um, my nesting partners, one is legally my husband, and one is, I refer to him as my husband. We've had a ceremony, a binding ceremony, and of course, legally he can't be my husband, but
Yeah.
they're both my husbands to me. And then I have two satellite partners that I see. One lives up in Denver, and I see him maybe 2 to 3 times a year. And then I have another partner that lives in Fayetteville, and I see her probably once a month, I'd say.
Okay. All right. And what aspects of polyamory do you excel at?
Communication. To a fault, actually. I would say that is a strength and a weakness for me. I tend to over communicate, so um, we we have a fail stop with my nesting partners. We call it info rape.
Okay.
Not to throw the R word out there all nonchalantly, but when one person is giving entirely too much information that the other one doesn't want to know really.
Gotcha.
Um, when you're pushing information on somebody that they don't want. Um, that's that's what we call that. We make it a stop, and unfortunately, I'm usually the guilty party. So
Well, then, how do you overcome that? Because I mean, the next question is what aspects of polyamory do you struggle with? And it sounds like you kind of answered that in there. But how do you rebound from that?
well, I wouldn't say that I struggle. Like I said, we've found fail stops on how to stop the too much information. So I wouldn't say that my biggest. I would say that one thing that I struggle with the most in polyamory, which is I would say most people struggle with, most people that I talk to anyway, is envy.
Okay.
Not necessarily jealousy, but envy. I want my partners to be happy, but if I see my partner happy with someone, and that someone's getting something that maybe I want too, I don't necessarily not want that person to have it, but I want it too. Um, and I identify that very differently than jealousy.
Understand. So in terms of risk aware or safer sex, what do you or your partners do to protect one another?
So let's see. My partner Ryan and I are fluid bonded, and we do not use protection together. He uses protection with his other partners, and I use protection with all of my other partners, including my other husband. He and my other husband uses protection with all his partners. As far as my satellite partners, that's completely, you'd have to ask them. But as far as me and my nesting partners go, I am fluid bonded and continuously fluid bonded. Actually, that sounds gross. I'm not continuously fluid bonded with him.
Not right now in this moment.
But we do not use protection, and I do use protection with my other nesting partner.
Fair. All right. All right. What is the worst mistake you've made in your polyamorous history? And how did you rebound from that?
The worst mistake that I ever made was when I met my husband Jerry. We were poly. We both knew we were poly already, and he actually had a primary partner, a very hierarchical relationship, and I was solo poly at the time. And we decided that we were going to have a don't ask, don't tell policy. And it did not work for us. It backfired horribly. So we changed. We changed things a lot. And our poly, the face of our poly has evolved a lot since then. So the don't ask, don't tell does not work for us.
Yeah,
it always seems to come creeping back.
Understandable. So, what self-identities are important to you, and how do you feel like being polyamorous intersects with those self-identities?
Self-identities. So I am bisexual, and a mother, which is... mother is probably the identity that I hold on to the highest, being a mother. I have 3 children total. I have an adult child that is adult child. He is an adult child that does not live at home. He's married, actually, and lives with his adult child wife. But being a mother is probably the one thing that I identify with the most. It's who I've been the longest.
Okay.
And when people who I have relationships with, have to understand that that is who I am first and foremost.
Okay.
It is a mother. Over everything else, over my bisexuality, over APW, over my career. I am a mother first and foremost, and that trumps every other identity that I do have. So.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, do you have any groups, projects, websites, blogs, etc., that you are involved with that you'd like to promote?
Absolutely. We always have Atlanta Poly Weekend that we're trying to promote every year. I think that you said this will be released after Atlanta Poly Weekend 2018. So I would say look for APW 2019 then. And I've also just become associated with a group called The Goddess Project.
Okay.
With Jennifer Hyde. She runs RelateCon out of Boise.
Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar.
So we're starting up a... it's going to be very feminine focused, recentering group. We're not exactly sure what we're doing with it yet. We have so many ideas,
Yeah.
what we want to do with it, but it's the Goddess Project, and I think it can be found on thegoddessproject.org.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing your information, and thank you for being a part of Poly Role Models. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for the invite, Kevin.
All right. Awesome.